welcome to another episode of the Who Dat Jedi podcast. This is episode 244 for your record books. My name is Aaron, and with me, as always, the other two members of the Who Dat Jedi podcast. Who Dat Jedi Council. There we go. It's been, well, we've had a week off, so I got to get back in the swing of things. But Fredo and Dave, how are we doing, guys?
Doing okay.
Doing good.
It's an audio podcast, Fredo. Nodding doesn't work.
Well, that's why I said doing good.
Yeah, but you started with a nod. I was like, okay, so all right. Well, let's see here. We're not going to talk professional football at all. I don't know. What's I guess okay. We're a week away from Halloween. First of all, Caribou is if you're not from New Orleans, we have a Halloween parade that is happening on Saturday night. So this Saturday, the 25th, right? Maybe we're just talking. It might rain, but the Caribou. So it's a fun Halloween parade. It's but down it runs down North Peter, down French Quarter, and into the little bit around the CBD. So that's going on. All right. Is anybody, Dave, you were talking, do you want to divulge your Halloween costumes or not? You don't want to divulge it on here.
I don't want to divulge
okay.
it. It's a surprise. There's
right.
a Halloween costume contest.
Oh, we don't. Okay.
In the office.
So you'll just have to follow Dave on his social media accounts and you'll find out he and his wife are going to do a joint costume. So, Fredo and I and our friend Scott Colesby and Brittany, my wife, we've threatened to do a group costume, and we want to do the Princess Bride. That I would be Wesley. Yeah, I'd be Wesley. Britt would be all the names are now just Buttercup, just out my brain. Fredo would be Fezzik, and Colesby would be Inigo Montoya.
That's right.
Inconceivable.
I could see it. Yeah, that could be fun.
We could pull that one off, I think. And
I just have to get a wig for the to mimic Andrew the Giant's curly hair.
Yeah, all I'd need is a mask and a do-rag, and I'm good to go. A black shirt, yeah. So someday, who knows? My favorite was one time I went as Han Solo and Chewbacca. I was Chewbacca. Nice. It was really cool. So anyway, I got the Chewbacca lady mask. So the one that that famous Instagram meme. But anyway, no, love Halloween. Love Halloween. Fredo, do you have a costume lined up or anything?
Nothing lined up yet. I mean, Dave and Kate and I work for the same kind of umbrella organization. I'll leave it at that. It's a wave that's rather green.
I'm Gumby, damn it.
But yeah. So sometimes Halloween's on a Friday, so that does make it easier to costume up because it's not like it's going to conflict with anything else. But I haven't decided yet. Sometimes I'll leave it to the last minute.
When you guys were kids and you did Halloween, were you? The one thing I could never get behind was any sort of face makeup. That was just a commitment that I did not want to even get into. Just bothered me. I didn't like the smell of it. I didn't like the feel of it. I don't know. You guys? No.
To be fair.
How about those old plastic masks that you couldn't breathe behind that just had the one little slit and and then the plastic
the Spider-Man.
The plastic cape that was was your smock or whatever that was your costume.
Yeah, it was basically a paint smock, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why they made those things plastic, other than they were probably cheap to produce. But
the smell of them.
I can smell it right now. Yeah.
The smell stays in your mind forever.
It does.
It's not what you think either. Like if you didn't live through that, right? Like it's intense plastic industrial odor, but also your snot and breath and all of that sort of imprints onto the mask as well. And so it's a mix
Hey, you know
of
what? That's a real thing. I mean, when I troop with the 501st, it's like, it's great because if you're in a long troop, they'll have snacks, or whoever you're trooping for might have some food for you. But the minute you eat anything and then put a stormtrooper helmet on, you're living with your breath for the rest of the day. It's like, made the mistake one time. I think we were marching in tux, and it's like, ate some Fritos and then put, my helmet on. It's like, oh man. It's like, here's a stormtrooper going, anybody got any dentine? It's like, need help.
Bad choices were made. Bad choices were
Yeah,
made.
no kidding. Anyway, well, Halloween. Halloween is like my favorite time of year. I love it. I love living in a place that, embraces it so much. So, yeah. So can't wait.
And it feels nice that you're finally getting to the good part of the year for us that live down in New Orleans. I always tell people, you pay for it from May through September, but right now the weather's finally turning good. Everything is happening. There's stuff going on every weekend from now through the end of April, beginning of May, and that's when you want to be in New Orleans because that's when it's fun to be here.
Yeah, I've actually opened the windows in my house and it's nice. We are going to obviously hit some news, but we watched the new-ish Star Wars Lego thing on Disney Plus, and we're going to just kind of have a little bit of a how do we feel about that type of review. We're not going to go into a huge thing because it's Star Wars Lego, but I do have a hot take. Like I said, I have a hot take when we get there. See how controversial I get. See if you think I'm nuts. But before then, let's do some trivia. Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Okay. Fredo, to you. Who addresses Luke as, quote, young Skywalker during their meeting in Cloud City? Come on. Who addresses Luke as, quote, young Skywalker during their meeting in Cloud City?
That would be Dad. Darth Vader.
By the way, did we talk about this? Well, let's do trivia. Then we'll come back. Remind me, Darth Vader. Okay, so
he's the only person he meets in Cloud City, right?
Well, Boba Fett shoots at him. Maybe yelled "Young Skywalker" and then bang bang. All right, Dave. Who, with one quick gesture, throws Darth Sidious across the room headfirst into the seat of his chair? Who, with one quick gesture, throws Darth Sidious across the room headfirst into the seat of his chair?
Yoda.
It is Yoda. I'm not even looking at the back of that. I didn't look at the back of either of yours there. All right. You gotta be effing kidding me. You don't have to mute. I censored myself there, Dave. Have the rule of the first one I look at? All right.
Yeah.
What are the names of Tatooine's two sons?
That's a good one. Oh man.
Now, I think this is right. This is my guess, but I think it is like Tattoo 1 and Tattoo 2. Oh my god. Oh my god.
All too easy.
You got it. They've
He
shown
got
us.
it.
Hey,
For
Bob.
those of you who
I don't
For
know
those of you who
where
don't have
I
video,
where did I hear that random bit of knowledge? Oh my god. Excuse me while I go buy a lottery ticket. Yeah, I know Luna doesn't believe it. All right. Darth Vader. So Brittany and Fredo and I send each other Instagram reels all the time. I have never thought about this. Never thought about this. And there's a reel, I think Britt sent it to us, Fredo. It's like, do you know why it's just think about this, that why at the end of Return of the Jedi, well, first of all all the Imperials know is that they don't know who Luke Skywalker is for anything. Don't know who he is, just that it's some young kid that, the Emperor needs to see. And so he and Darth Vader get on the elevator together. That's all anybody sees. And the next thing they see is Luke Skywalker dragging dead Darth Vader across the floor. And and they're like, imagine that's why everybody was so terrified. Well, no, that's why Moff Gideon was so terrified when Luke shows up.
Right.
Because of that legend. It might be a stretch, but that's really good putting things together. I never thought about that. It's like two people go up an elevator, one come down, and he's dragging dead Darth Vader, the baddest bad guy ever. And so then when Luke's X-Wing is showing up at the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian, and Moff Gideon decides it would be better to off himself than to deal with Luke Skywalker. That's interesting.
Well, it's the kind of thing that you don't consider in the moment because everything's happening. I mean, we tend to, because we live with this movie now for almost over 40 years, but the chaos that's happening in that second Death Star, as the Emperor's dying, Vader is dying, the rebellion is winning, everything's going to heck in a handbasket. It's the kind of thing where you go, if you're one of those Imperial officers and you've been trained since you're a young man, look out for number one. Don't, this is all about you climbing the Imperial corporate ladder. And all of a sudden, things are going, horrible. Okay, well, time to find the emergency escape pod, get out of there. And then you see, like I said, the baddest bad being in the galaxy getting dragged down by this young guy who went up and, shackled. You're like, okay, I don't know what happened, but I clearly do not want to be in the middle of messing with whatever they got going on. Just get out of there, get out of there. And obviously, we know that there's the Imperial remnant out there. I mean, the discussions must have been had. What did you see? For those of them that did get away and who shared with the other Moffs and generals and admirals that were left out there in the galaxy. So it's the kind of thing where you go like, by the point maybe got to Moff Gideon, that legend blew up.
We'll let Dave jump in, but I've just never even thought about that, of like what that would look like. Like, okay, well, there's, like I said, the Darth Vader taking this kid, and then the kid's dragging his dead body. Anyway,
I thought it was a nice detail in real time the first time I watched it, that he seemed to be a little freaked out by Luke. Regardless of how much information he had, I think most people understood that he blew up the first Death Star,
yeah,
and survived 2 encounters with Darth Vader. At minimum.
Yeah, the other part about the end of Return of the Jedi, at that same time when when he's leaving the Death Star, there's blaster fire going on in the background. Now, no rebels have invaded the Death Star proper, so who they shooting at? That becomes real dark real quick.
Yep.
That's Titanic, like, the lifeboats, there's only so many. That's the, or
there was a lot of that kind of stuff in the original conception of that, of those scenes. Like the Moff Jerjerrod stuff, like he was supposed to play more of a role and
take out Endor.
Yeah. And then, what's going to happen in that moment? Like there's going to be a lot of infighting. People are going to be shooting at each other, people deserting, and there are going to be other people who are desperate to try to salvage something out of it. And,
just little things.
It goes dark quickly.
I get, one of my biggest criticisms of myself is like when I'm walking around, if we're walking around downtown or we're just visiting something, I don't look up all that often. Things are kind of always at eye level. I don't look up, and I've been accused of being oblivious many times. And those are things in movies that I like when you have those little details. Like I said, that you may not notice it in the moment, but it does add to everything. And I just,
It's
and somebody's in the room though going, you know, why we got blaster? Maybe we need some blaster fire because what's probably going on. It's just, man, that anyway. Sorry to get us on a tangent, but um, there we go.
no, it's interesting because makes me think towards the original plan, episode 9, where they were gonna have what's the name, General Hux commit seppuku with one of the lightsabers that has been collecting, and so I'm like, oh, it's rather dark.
Yeah.
Then you forget that that's one of the aspects that you tend to appreciate about these movies is that there is darkness, there is some realism and some darkness in there. It's never up front. It's always in the background. It's always kind of happening, someplace where the kids won't notice, but it's there.
Well, let's get to some happier stuff here. What's going on in news, Fredo?
Well, okay, we'll start off with a bit of happy news and then we'll go a bit into sad news and then we'll dive around some stuff. So, first of all, just 3 days, so happy belated birthday to Sam Woodward. He just turned, hold on. I saw the post, but it was just hilarious uh, because he just, yeah, October 20th, yeah, he turned 48.
Sam
That's as old
Witwer,
as I
the
am.
voice of Darth Maul and other various characters. So
The only guy to out nerd Dave Filoni, which is, feather in his cap. So, yeah,
I saw
he
I
turned.
saw I saw a quote from him recently, talking about his experience with Avatar, and
Mhm.
where like if he goes to the official listing of his contributions to that movie, he's listed as a voice actor. Where like if you know anything about those movies, those people are all mocap. I mean, it's
Mhm.
all mocap, right? And they're giving a body performance in addition to speaking the lines, and he was justifiably annoyed by that.
hmm.
And
Although
I wonder,
I wonder though if he's annoyed by the residuals that he's getting from those movies though.
All right,
it's gotta
so
be okay.
it's time. It's
Mhm.
time for you guys to be mad at me. Maybe I've never
Go
seen
for it.
Avatar.
Oh, I've
Eh,
not seen any of them.
I,
I
I,
saw the first one
I've
in the
you haven't
theater.
either, Dave.
I've never seen them either.
Okay, good.
I did
Okay,
skip the
now I
second
don't feel
one.
so bad. It
Yeah.
it just never even looked appealing to me. So
Like I said, I saw the first one when it first came out in theaters because back then it's like, oh my gosh, it's in IMAX, it's 3D, it's all this. And I skipped the second one. And don't get me wrong, they're not bad. They're just, you know, if there's a look, here's the funny thing. I'm sure both of you have done the Avatar ride at Disney World.
I
Have y'all?
I did. Yeah, the
No.
flight of
Okay, and,
passage. I
and
did it
it's all right.
once. Yeah.
And here's the interesting aspect of it. It's a fun ride, but then it doesn't leave really, I'm sorry, imprint in you. Like it doesn't leave you thinking, oh my gosh, that was so amazing. I had to go watch these movies. And that's kind of the vibe that I got from when I watched. It's like, okay, it was right. It was nice. And then you move on but there's plenty of people who love them. So that's why they're making more. And that's why Disney's
Yeah,
putting
good on
itself
you.
behind it. So
Yeah.
exactly. It's like, okay.
All right. I
We
don't.
move from the happy to the sad.
No, I was just gonna say now I don't feel so bad. Dave hasn't seen it, so all right, cool. He can
We'll,
be in
we'll,
Avatar jail with me. So
we'll make y'all both sit down and watch all three of them when the next
no,
one comes out.
No,
no.
no, no, no.
Maybe the third one will be the good one. I don't know. We'll see. Moving away from that to Saturday news, about 10 days ago, we were informed by his family that Drew Struzan had passed away. For those of you who don't remember, Drew Struzan is an American artist, best illustrator, better known for designing over 150 film posters from everything from Blade Runner, E.T., Shawshank Redemption, Back to the Future, Harry Potter, Indiana Jones, and for the purposes of this podcast, Star Wars. Like he is one of those guys that when you think about it, when you picture Star Wars before you go into the theaters, it's his artwork that you see on the on the poster before you go in. And Yeah, he passed away at the age of 78. Had won a whole, just about every award that you could do in terms of illustration and whatnot. Uh, yeah, it's his family announced on their Instagram that he had passed away, and our condolences to them.
Hmm. Did he do just the Revenge of the Jedi poster, or did he do the um,
He he
re-
first did
Return
the
as well?
first, yeah, he did a number of them for like you remember the one that's like they call it the D circus poster, where it's Luke's hanging onto the line and Princess Leia's holding onto him firing
Hmm.
a blaster. That's him. And like I said, he's done a whole bunch of different ones for just about every, all the prequels, episodes one, two, three, all those were Drew Struzan posters. You know, which
When you think of the unified look of all of the special editions and the prequels like all together, he did all of those.
mhm,
Um, I think he did the one where Luke's pointing his blaster
mhm,
right at you.
That one I
right.
have hanging right over here. I was wondering if he did
Yeah.
the Return of the Jedi one that I have.
Probably did because I mean the artwork series. I mean because it's almost photosynthetic. Like
Yeah,
you can almost tell. Okay, like they started with the stock photo and then he drew from
right.
that. Particularly like when you think of like the special edition uh, sheet, that got broken up into the three posters for the three movies, but it's all one piece of artwork. You know that was in as well. So
Hmm.
again, there's all these artists that are connected, to the side or to the left of the Star Wars that leave a major imprint on our experience of it and what we associate with it. So, as I said, condolences to him and his family. In happier, okay, I'm gonna leave the big topics for last because that's gonna take a moment. But I guess I'll mention this right quick. So, they were interviewing Mary Elizabeth Winstead, aka Hera Syndulla, about, well, she's up promoting another project that she's working on, and they asked her about Ahsoka season two, which, as we discussed last time, finished wrapping up. So they asked her about it. And she tells Collider this quote, I'm not sure what I can say other than I'm in this season a bit more, which is fun. I'm definitely in on the action, as you say, quite a bit more, which was great to have a Hera really kind of like, getting some stuff done. Honestly, I'm not going to say much more than that just because I've not been given my guidelines yet. So she's cognizant that Lucasfilm and Disney are probably going like, hush, hush. But I'm going to leave it at that. It was so much fun. I just finished. I love every minute of it. So it's interesting that she's saying more screen time for Hera in season two of Ahsoka, but also more action,
You know,
which kind of makes sense. I
it
mean,
does. It
where
does.
we left them.
The first season was kind of a slow burn. You know, up
Mhm.
to the end. Like we're obviously trying to get to a certain place. This one I think is going to be a lot more hit the ground running. I have a feeling. Um, so yeah, it'll be interesting. Yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're not expecting it till at least till after Mandalorian and Grogu drop next year in May. So maybe around this time, we'll see. Yeah.
So, do you think? Do you think there's a possibility? I don't know if this would. This might be really dumb, but maybe it might be a good idea. But if, let's say, Mandalorian and Grogu comes out first,
Mhm. It is.
do they include a, like, either a special look or a trailer for Ahsoka season 2 so that people know that it's coming out? Do you think they start doing that? Because we haven't had movie Disney Plus, kind of cross
Also,
bleed over. I wonder,
mhm.
would that make sense?
It's a little bit harder to execute those sorts of things nowadays because the internet and the nature of people with their phones and everything, you can't really keep things under wraps. So it would be difficult for them to add something like that to the movie as a method of trying to get people in theaters. If they decided they wanted to do it, it'd probably be more of just like a reward for fans or something fun to include. not something that you would have to go to the
I
theater to
mean,
get.
it could even just be the trailer, whatever trailer they come out with that
Hmm.
spring or whatever. I'm just saying, do they do that because I'm just thinking the Last Jedi Solo, you know, kerfuffle. It's like, you know, do you remind
Particularly,
people, hey, renew your Disney Plus subscriptions because there's more Star Wars that you're going to need to watch, coming up. So, I don't know.
well, and particularly because we do not have a celebration next year. There's not going to be any kind of big moment where you can bring everybody who's into Star Wars into one room and just get them hyped up for Ahsoka season two beyond Mandalorian and Grogu. So you could potentially have a trailer. I mean, I don't know if we'll have the Marvel post-credit scene in there. I don't know necessarily that they want to get into that element of cross promotion, but I wouldn't be surprised if at the very least there's a trailer saying, "Hey kids, this is coming back." Because again, now when do you do that? Do you attach it opening weekend? I mean, do you just want to let the movie stand on its own and then maybe a few weeks later then include it? I don't know.
If
It gets to be. Mhm.
I think it will happen if the two stories intertwine in any way.
Mhm.
I think they will at least have a trailer or something, um, just so people know that they might have to do the summer reading type of a deal. If they're We don't know if they're going to do these things. We've speculated on here that it's either it could be a standalone, might be connected. So
Well, that's what you're raising the possibility of too, is some kind of a stinger, potentially, like,
a
and
post credit
like,
scene, yeah,
and again, that's the best way to get people excited or interested
that's a good
or
point.
rewatching. Like, wait, what? Why did that thing happen? I don't. I've forgotten. I need to go back and
That's
rewatch
a good point. Ooh,
this other series, or
first
like that kind
post
of thing.
credit scene for a Star Wars movie,
It could be. It could really could be.
maybe.
Now, like, my money is on one of those really crappy behind the scenes featurettes that's like 2 minutes long, like the length of a trailer, but without being a trailer. That's where my money's at. Um,
Yeah, kind of like
but
we got for Rogue One,
yeah, yeah,
where it was like half trailer, half showing you. You saw the alien, the alien guy in the B-wing shooting at
Well,
the Battle Scarab, but then you see the camera guy filming at him, and you
yeah.
see
You see the
Garrett Edwards
camera
which
telling him,
guys and all the
"Well,
yeah.
I mean,
mm,
one of the Marvel movies, one of the post credit scenes was literally a scene from Civil War where they have Bucky,
Right.
in the vice grips, and that's all it was, just a lift. So I mean, you could take a scene from Ahsoka season two. It doesn't even have to. It could just be something they already have that is linked from the Mandalorian Grogu story, and just and then check out Ahsoka season two on Disney Plus, kids. Then you have your kid going, "Daddy, Daddy, we need to get Disney Plus," when they're so more money. Anyway, uh, I'm just excited that we have stuff coming out in the theaters. This will be fun. So, all right. Well, thanks for letting me speculate there a little bit. What's up next, Fredo?
let's shift gears for a moment. Talk back about something we haven't talked in a while. Star Wars Eclipse. I'm only bringing it up. Well, I'm bringing it up for two reasons. One, there was an article published last week that if you forgot what Star Wars Eclipse was,
I
it was
have.
going to be it's a video. Exactly, it was a video game that got announced 4 years ago. Just a teaser trailer about a video game developed by this company called Quantic Dream. They're the people who developed these kind of like half movie, half video game kind of looking things like Detroit Become Human and Heavy Rain. It was announced, like I said, 4 years ago. There was some excitement behind it. Then apparently there was reporting coming out about a rather toxic dynamics working within this company, and a lot of people were kind of less enthused about it. Well, I'm bringing it up for two reasons. First of all, the director at Quantic Dream did come out saying, no, we're still in development of Star Wars Eclipse. We're eager to share more about it with you in the future. The bigger reason I bring it up is because it's a game that's supposed to take place during the High Republic. Now, the High Republic book series just ended earlier this year, or is going to end sometime soon. And as far as I know, it's going to be so interesting because it feels like Lucasfilm put a lot of money and effort and push. And we had the books, we had the comic books, we had the Acolyte, and then we had this. This is going to be like, even if they crank things up to 11, this might not come out till another year or so. Is there really going to be any appetite for this game unless it's like amazing and it looks like the best thing ever?
I have if I was a betting man, I'd put $5 down that we get another sort of wipe the palate clean type of a thing from the story group at some point that says, "Oh yeah, all that High Republic stuff, that's just Legends," because it didn't pan out the way they wanted it to. Maybe, I don't know. It seems like, yeah, they put a lot of effort into this, but they didn't really. I guess I was expecting to be more excited about it, but maybe it wasn't. I'm not their audience. I don't know. Dave, you look like you have something to say.
Well, Fredo, I read the story that you included in the show notes, and it's an interesting situation because this company was somewhat controversial because they had kind of a toxic workplace environment going on,
Big time. Which
and
which we should say is not uncommon in the video game industry, sadly.
right.
A lot from the AAA developers to the smaller ones. I mean, geez, you talk about toxic cultures, they are amongst the worst, and that's no secret.
So there were a lot of people talking about boycotting the game to begin with.
Mhm.
So it is interesting that it's still going or still happening or returning or whatever you want to say. Um, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's again to me the interesting aspect is I do wonder what the appetite is going to be for High Republic content when again the book series is completed or about to be completed. I mean, the comic books are still
Yeah,
kind of sort of happening on their own, but
but you
it really
guys,
doesn't seem like I said, it doesn't seem like it connected with the wider Star Wars audience the way that Lucasfilm may have thought it would hoped that it would.
you two are gamers, don't you? Doesn't it? I mean, first and foremost, is it a good game? Right? I mean, if it's a good game, then it seems to me like, hey, it's in High Republic. That's icing on the cake. You're not going to buy a game because it's set in the High Republic, are you?
No, no, and it could that very well end up being something like Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2,
And if
where,
you really
you know,
want, I'm sorry, if you really want the story, then you can let some other kid play about it and post about it online, and So I think first and foremost, it just has to be a good game. Sorry, Fredo. Go ahead.
no, no, and that's kind of my point is that Knights of the Old Republic was an amazing game. Knights of the Republic 2 is an amazing game. Those games take place 4,000 years in the past from the Battle of Yavin and the story left to
Well,
know, and
then
people
also
still connected with it. Yeah,
the
and
the
love them and
the,
still love them.
the first one of those came out when there wasn't a lot of Star Wars going on either. So it was like Star Wars, Star Wars. It's like bringing free pizza to a dorm room. I mean, it's so
Yep.
right now. I don't know if High Republic's going to get people in the door unless it's like a really kick butt video game.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know
you
what
know,
other Star Wars projects are in the works in regards to video games right now, though.
not
Uh,
really, not many. Not,
yeah,
I mean, Outlaws is still getting some post-release love. Uh, there's still the hope that the remake of Knights of the Republic will eventually come out. And then, of course, some people are still hoping for the next Battlefront. But other than that, I mean, which is surprising because remember, Disney signed a multi-year deal with Electronic Arts, which is about as big a video game company as you can get. And they, you thought, okay, they'd be just turning them out like they do their
yeah.
Madden series. Like you get a Madden every year. It's like, nope, you don't get a Star Wars game every year. I'm surprised because that's really how they print their money. It's just, here you go, kids. Here's the next year's. Here's the next year's. But it's
There's a
interesting.
fun idea: Star Wars football. Give us Star Wars Madden. That's what I
Hey,
need
we
to
had a
see.
podcast episode about that.
How about update Star Wars Pod Racer? Give us an updated Star Wars Pod Racer. I'll take
Wait
that.
till Starfighter comes out. You might get it. So, you
Hey,
know.
knock on wood. One last bit of news before we get to the big news of the last week. So the theme, going back a bit local, Hero of Chewbacca's for 2026 and announced their theme. Their theme is going to be Rebellions Are Built on Hope, which is appropriate given the times we live in. And if you go onto their website, you can actually go to the store and buy the trucker hat, the T-shirt, or the flag saying that, and they look kind of nifty. I'll throw the link on the show notes for y'all, and you can take a look. And I'm like, kind of glad for them. It's nice that in the middle of all the everything, uh, Chewbacca's still going to happen, and stuff's still going to go on, and Mardi Gras will still take place.
Cool.
Those are the things that you have to remind yourself of periodically when it seems like the world is burning to the ground. The world is still spinning.
Well,
things are still happening.
And didn't we talk about this a couple weeks ago? It's like you have to allow yourself to, find joy someplace. I mean, we're inundated with garbage, all all the time, and so to find those little bits of, whether it's going to Crew of Boo, whether it's going to looking forward to Mardi Gras, or celebrating just celebrating somebody's birthday, you have to, buy yourself something, just you gotta, you have to.
I mean, we're talking about Colesby. He's been looking forward to going back to Disney World and his countdown, and I think he's heading back out there tomorrow. So
yeah, he's heading out there
that's the
tomorrow.
kind of thing.
He's got a mission I've put him on, because I'm going in November, and I'm having him ask about the reclaimed and reforged lightsaber. Just wondering how long supplies will last, if they'll last from October through November, in order for me to get one. But anyway, we shall find out.
Right. Oh, I thought you meant you'll go into the Beak and Barrel and seal a parrot or something.
Now this.
Okay, so the big. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, so the big news of the week was this. So this broke a few days back. It was reported because Adam Driver is out doing a press release. He's in a new Jim Jarmusch movie. And in the middle of all that, what comes out is that apparently he had an idea for a movie called The Hunt for Ben Solo. He says, quote, I was always interested in doing another Star Wars movie. He had been talking about doing another one since 2021. Kathleen Kennedy had reached out. I always said, the great director and a great story. I'd be there in a second. I love that character. I love playing him. So apparently, Adam Driver goes to Steven Soderbergh for a film that would take place after Rise of Skywalker that would focus on Ben Solo, the redeemed Kylo Ren from the trilogy. Apparently, Steven Soderbergh and his co-writing partner Rebecca Blunt outlined a story that the group then pitched to Kennedy and to the team at Lucasfilm. They were interested, so the filmmakers pulled in a screenwriter to kind of start working on a screenplay. And Driver calls it one of the coolest scripts that I'd ever been a part of. They presented again the script to Lucasfilm. They loved the idea. They understood the angle, why they were doing it. Then Lucasfilm and Driver and Steven Soderbergh took it to Bob Iger and the team at Disney, and Disney said no. They didn't see how his quote was, they did not see how Ben Solo was alive, and that was that. Driver finished said it was called The Hunt for Ben Solo. It was really cool, but it is no more, so I can finally talk about it. Steven Soderbergh, for his part, says, I really enjoyed making the movie in my head. I'm just sorry the fans won't get to see it. Representatives from Disney and Lucasfilm declined comment. Discuss.
That's because if this story is true, and there's no reason to think that it is not for right now, but if this story is true, well, actually, it probably is true because Lucasfilm and Disney declined to comment. So if it is true, however, somebody needs to resign. Because if Bob Iger looks at a script, if somebody goes through all of this and gets up through Kathleen Kennedy and then goes to Bob Iger's desk and Bob Iger dismisses it out of hand, either he's senile and stupid and needs to get out of the business, or there is a dereliction of duty from the Lucasfilm side of things. That why did you even present this thing to Bob Iger? There's something that's where I go with this. Usually, my BS meter goes up like, okay, yeah, we're making the stories up, but are these true stories? I don't doubt this. But it's like somebody needs to resign or be fired, because that's just like, how did this even happen? Now, Bob Iger got a point. Sorry, it's not like the dude, like, it's not like we didn't see a body. We actually saw the body, and the body disappeared. Now, there's ways that you can work around that. You can do, a flashback. You can do, maybe it's not, maybe it's Ray trying to find out who exactly Ben Solo was. There's ways this story could have happened, 100%. But my whole thing with this is that somebody messed up, and somebody needs to resign or be fired, or at least, buy coffee for the office for the next year. I don't know. I pass it to Dave.
Just a tremendous lack of understanding of your fan base. And, like there are some times where people will say, like, "Oh, well, who asked for this?" Right? And I think like that could be the reaction. For some people, they don't have any interest in the character or continuing the story of the sequel trilogy because they were dissatisfied with it or whatever. That is a perfectly valid position to be taking. There are just as many people, if not more, and I would wager a lot more, who really liked that character, really liked Adam Driver in Star Wars, and would be 100% on board for this, regardless of what storytelling reason you come up for with it. I mean, somehow Palpatine returned. That is a line that was uttered in Star Wars. You could utter it again. Somehow Ben Solo returned. That's all you got to do. They proved it. That's all you got to do. And now we're telling our story. And I just think it was so incredibly short-sighted to not just... And again, not to mention the fact you're talking about Steven frickin' Soderbergh here.
And by the way, when I say somebody needs to resign, Bob Iger is like top of my list right there, because I'm with you on this. It's 100% short-sighted, because first of all, you know how I feel about the whole Reylo thing. I hate that. I've never referred to him as Ben Solo ever. It's always been Kylo Ren. But this is a story so it's not, when you're asking, who's it for, who asked for this? Not me, but I'm with you. There's a bunch of people that were like all about Ben Solo, and so if Bob Iger just dismisses it out of hand, then again, it's like, dude, you need to go, or what happened? So yeah, you're right. It's totally short-sighted. And I'm the one who probably wouldn't want to go see the damn movie, and I'm defending it here. I would go see the movie, but but you know what I mean?
Think about people like you, Aaron. I'm thinking about you as well, where it's like, oh, I didn't like the Reylo thing, and I didn't like Ben Solo. I didn't like any of that. But like I could see you having an open mind and thinking, well, this is a chance for them to sort of redeem themselves here.
Yeah, 100%,
I'll go check it
100%,
out.
Yeah.
So my first thought when I first read it when I first heard about this news was, wow, I mean, they really turned down the chance to get Steven Soderbergh into the building, making a movie for them with Adam Driver. Because remember, Adam Driver worked with Steven Soderbergh in Logan Lucky, which if you have not seen, that is one of the best heist movies of the 2010s.
Everyone needs to
awesome.
See that. Yes,
it is awesome.
Great.
It is awesome. It is funny. And Steven Soderbergh, he revived the heist movies at the turn of the millennium with the Ocean's 11 series. So he could have given you something very interesting, unique, and different. At the same time, I could kind of see where Iger's coming from, just in terms of how much of a business you want to get into of using this movie to fix last movie's problems. It's something we've gotten into discussion before, which, you can kind of go in terms of, I don't want to do that. But here's the dynamic that's different. This movie wasn't going to be about Rey. This movie was going to be about the saga. This movie was going to be focusing on, guess what? Ben Solo, the one character who, okay, how many lines does Ben Solo have in the trilogy?
He doesn't have. He doesn't
One.
have any.
No, he has one. He has ow.
That's
That's it. That's all he ever utters as Ben Solo. When he's sliding down the
so
thing, jumps up and lands on the mid
on
mid
it
jump and goes out. That's it. That's the only. So we never get to know who he is.
on a tangent. I still, this is a topic for another thing. I still don't think that is Ben Solo. I still think that it is Princess Leia working through her. I think Ben Solo dies when Rey skewers him on the Death Star. We don't have to get into that right now. But here's my thing: is that Dave, it doesn't even have to be as ridiculous as Palpatine returns. Somehow Palpatine returns. It could be linked to your new Jedi Order movie where you have a Padawan who's in a library going, researching, past Jedi. And it's like, well, let me tell you about Ben Solo, and we're off on, young Indiana Jones type stuff. You know what I mean? It's so easy. So that's what threw me, is that so like I said before that I don't think this is an untrue story, but that's where that's the only part of my brain that's like going, I'm calling a little bit of BS on this, because I can't see Bob Iger, unless he is senile and insane, which is totally possible, being not seeing that we killed somebody off, but here's the way that we can make this happen. So that's
so
weird.
can I throw out another wrench on this idea? Because apparently today we had another rumor of another movie that didn't happen. This is from reporter Jeff Snyder through his own blog, through his own Substack. Basically, he stated that this wasn't the only movie that Disney said no to. There was a report that apparently David Fincher was working on a movie for Lucasfilm. The quote kind of, apparently right now David Fincher's working on a follow-up to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but apparently what Snyder discusses in his Substack blog is that he had an idea for a movie, original idea. Negotiations fell through because the director asked for final cut rights, meaning the final cut would have been his, which is something that, if you know anything about David Fincher, he is, ever since Alien 3 happened to him, which was his first movie, he will fight to the death for. So when he asked for final cut, Lucasfilm said not willing to concede on that, and then that was it. Apparently he wasn't writing it, somebody else was writing for it, but he was interested. So it seems interesting that at the start of 2020, 2021, 2022, there are all these major Hollywood directors go saying, I want to do a Star Wars thing, and Disney and Lucasfilm were like, nah, we're good. We're cool. We got this. Disney Plus got us.
So they settled in on James Mangold, Patty Jenkins, some really big names, right? But like you got David Fincher on the line. It's like, yeah. You got Steven Soderbergh on the line. Yeah, I think we'll take that call. I mean, what are you doing? Here's though, like, I think it's just such a colossal error, and they shot themselves in the foot with a shotgun here. But I also know that, like, fan interest can sort of trump these things at times, and so, and I also know that Star Wars fans are fanatical. So I'm all in on this campaign to get this movie to happen at this point. Like, there was a plane flying a banner
About Disney.
yeah, like, I mean, and I see it. I see the hashtag taking off on social media. I mean, like, yeah, y'all, if anybody's listening to this and they're like, oh yeah,
Except I do want to throw out there that Make Solo 2 Happen has been a hashtag for a lot longer and very popular as well, to the point where the creators know about it. But yeah, so go for both of them. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, bring them both. Yeah, let's have them both happen. But, like, I can understand why that one hasn't happened, right? Like, the math on that one is like, well, this movie didn't make its money back. why are we going to make another one, right? The frickin' sequel trilogy made money hand over fist, and his character was probably the most popular in those movies. This is like a no-brainer sort of decision, and I, for me personally too, like I'd be all in, right? We haven't even touched on our own personal feelings. I mean, Aaron made pretty clear what he feels about this size. I'm all in on this. I thought the end of the final movie was a problem. It didn't resolve anything. I didn't think there was any reason to kill him. Um, you know, throw him in a brig somewhere, okay. Or maybe he gets away scot clean, okay. But like this idea that there could be two Force users pursuing love has not done before, and like there's so much narrative juice in that. Um, I was like, and then they just killed him. So, like for me, I'm like, no, bring him the frick back, right? Like right now, do it tomorrow. And I'm not endorsing that particular relationship, but it's like, show me what it's like. Let me understand.
One of the interesting story concepts that we tend to kind of dismiss is when you consider a bad guy turning back towards the good. We tend to frame it in terms of the ultimate sacrifice. You give up your life for somebody else, as we saw with Anakin
Right.
doing it for Luke. One of the other aspects that we tend not to focus on is on repentance, on making amends. That could have been
Right.
an element that would have been interesting to see Ben Solo going through the galaxy that I helped tear apart, trying to put stuff back together, showing, the kind of commitment that it requires to undo the wrongs that you did. We tend not to have those kind of stories too often. This would have been a great opportunity because you could have said, okay, you're the son of Han and Leia. Leia gave up her life for you.
Yeah,
Han
if
gave
it
up his life
wasn't,
and you took it.
if it wasn't for
Now,
I'm with you. Yeah, I'm totally with you. That would be a great storyline for people to go down. Except that, can you really do a story about repentance for somebody who was an accessory to
okay,
mass genocide? I mean, that's a
What do
little.
we do with people who have served their sentence, and like they commit murder, they go to jail, they do 40 years,
Yeah, but this guy was
and then they
part of
walk, and
blowing up
then
multiple planets. It's like, no,
I mean, I'm saying,
I
like,
don't
yeah,
disagree. I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying that it's.
philosophically, what do? You ultimately are supposed to forgive, um, and like that is kind of an interesting story to tell. It's like, again, like I understand there have to be consequences. We live in a society, right? Um, there are things that you do not do, like commit mass genocide. You do not do that.
And how does a New Republic deal with? Or would it be the New Republic or New Republic? How do they deal with
newish.
a tremendously powerful Force user?
But these are interesting
I agree. I
questions,
agree with you. I agree with you. I agree with you.
right?
The,
Like, okay,
I want to
let's
come back.
answer them.
I want to come back to the crux of this was that Iger killed it because he said he dead. That's, I mean, I think we're all on the same page that yes, there was ways to do that. That's why I'm saying Disney, if you've ever thought about it's, there's been talks about them making a, change. This is obviously a second time around because Chapek was no good. This would be like, okay, we need to send him packing now because that was just a horrible decision. So,
You've seen I just want to reiterate, we've seen this sort of like fan groundswell payoff before. The Wile E. Coyote movie, the story behind that, how that thing was completely 100% in the can, totally made. By all accounts, it was a quality flick, and then HBO just killed it because of some sort of tax reason, right? Um, and fans were in an uproar over this, and they got the thing to finally get back into being. And so, like, I would just say don't give up hope on this idea if you're a fan. Um, Again, like even me personally, I understand the flaws in the sequel trilogy. I'm not. That's not the corner of the galaxy that I'm most eager to get back into personally. But I see the potential in this, and I understand how many fans would rally around this. And um, just what are you doing, man? That's an own goal, right? I mean, you're helping the opposition.
Well, sign the petition. So yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Put a petition in front of me. I'll sign it.
Again, for the record, I would not be opposed to a movie. I think there's ways you can, make the movie work. I would not be opposed to it. Like I said, my thing is that this just shows how dumb somebody is somewhere. Anyway,
Adam Driver is so good too. Like we were talking about this. My family, we were talking about this in the car the other day, and we were just talking about Adam Driver on SNL.
oh, when he was when he was in the classroom,
Well, everything. We were
or
like,
Oh
what's your
God.
favorite Adam Driver SNL skit was the topic of conversation, and everybody had like two or three
when he was Matt,
choices.
the undercover boss. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, he's so good, man. Bring him back.
Well, let's talk about some Lego here. Um, so it was rebuild the galaxy. What was it? Past.
Part,
It was part
pieces of the
two.
past. Yeah.
Um, I'll start off here. Like I said, we're not going to go through a whole synopsis of what happened. Watch it on Disney Plus. It's fun. It's Lego. Um, but I will say, I think of all of the Star Wars Lego stuff, this was the best one that they've done. This was the best one they've done. And here's my hot take, and then I'll let you guys. I'll yield the floor to you. Share some favorite things later. There was some things that made me like giggle out loud. Well, first of all, before I get to the hot take, I'll say I love before they even said Landalorian. That was the first thing out of my mouth. I loved the fact of Lando as a Mandalorian. That made me laugh. Um, I loved the this not a Sarlacc pit but a Snoke pit, and then one of them said, "What's a Snoke?" And when they said, "It doesn't really matter."
Hmm.
I thought that was an awesome line. Um,
The
but
Porgal.
the Porgal, that was good. You know, um, like I think they did. So first of all, well, here's my hot take. Take away the typical Lego jokes and things like that. Just as this this was a better and more satisfying story than Rise of Skywalker.
Hot take.
This is a
Very
better and
hot.
more satisfying. It was a better constructed and more satisfying story because they were kind of following that storyline a little bit with the dyad type of thing. But when you make it, I mean, the way they dealt with it made a lot more sense and was a lot more fulfilling, and it was meaningful because it was two brothers, and but they um, they didn't, they had the new villain, whatever his name was, Solid. It doesn't matter.
Solidus. Yeah.
But it, like I said, it was just a more satisfying, well put together story. And I was actually surprised because usually Lego is all about the gags, and the
Hmm.
gags seemed to take kind of a backseat to they actually wanted to tell a story. So I was really pleasantly surprised by this. That's my little elevator pitch. I'll let you guys go, but like I said, more satisfying and better story than Rise of Skywalker. Dead air.
Uh, yeah. Yeah. No, I'll go.
I
So
wouldn't go that
agree.
far, I guess. That's why you
That's
get
fine. That's
better
fine.
there.
Don't go. That's all right.
Yeah, yeah. But I it was you know where I would go with it would be that I would say that it did build upon this idea of the diet. And I do think that there was a lot of room for that to occur because we haven't really explored that yet. So I really appreciated that aspect of this story. Uh, but like, is it fairly disposable? Ultimately, yes. Why? Because it's alternate universe stuff and it's kind of silly and it's Lego and all of these things, right? So you cannot take it really any of it to heart, really.
No, not at all.
But I would agree with you that I think the actual story had more meat than you would usually see in these Lego stories. So I would definitely agree with that. And
It had
again,
more.
the
It had more
dyad stuff
heart.
was really cool.
Yeah, it had more heart. It had.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, it was. I was surprised. I was actually. I was kind of surprised by it because I was expecting, everything else we've seen, like whether it's the holiday special or the first Rebuild the Galaxy, it was like I said, it was all Lego gags, and this was, they didn't need the Lego gags here. They threw them in, and it felt Star Wars because it was like the humor kicked in when you needed the humor. When they realized, okay, we're getting really serious on a topic, and then somebody will lay out a little one-liner, and it was just, it was yeah. So anyway, sorry, jumped in on you.
I would give you one last point here too on my end before I let Fredo speak on this, which is that I came into it expecting not the worst, but something utterly disposable. This felt like homework, like sometimes we give ourselves homework assignments. Oh well, for next week's show,
Yeah,
everyone's gonna watch.
that was quite clear in the text message. Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like homework. It felt like homework. And then I sat down with it, and I sipped my bourbon, and I chuckled, and then I chuckled again, and I thought, oh, this story is going into some interesting places. This is kind of good and fun, and yeah, I liked it more than I expected.
I was so worried that the the big baddie, they were going to make everybody hold hands and hug and they were going to, but they didn't. Sorry, spoiler alert. I'm glad that he stayed bad to the end. That's what I was kind of worried about. Fredo, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, kind of with you. It was enjoyable. I think I enjoyed it more than I did the first Rebuild the Galaxy, primarily because it is more story driven. They're more comfortable with these characters. It was, in part, that this was part of the dynamic that I think Rebuild the Galaxy One kind of struggled with is that they're trying to introduce their own characters that are going to carry the story, like Jedi Bob and Sig and Dev, but everybody is like, no, no, show me Peach Bum, Luke Skywalker, show me, good guy, Darth Vader, show me Darth Jar Jar. I want to see Darth Jar Jar, that kind of thing. And so the gags kind of came to the forefront because they were not necessarily sure that they trusted people to care for the characters. Here, they were far more comfortable with telling the story that they're going to tell. It's interesting because the story, in many ways, not only mirrored Rise of Skywalker, but I kept thinking of like other stories that kind of felt similar to, and I forget now which the other one was, but that idea of it's actually no, it was the Lego movie. I thought it was very similar in nature to the Lego movie because Solidus, the big bad's ultimate goal is he wants everything ordered, he wants everything neat, and basically he just wants people to play and mess because when this is one of those things that Lego love to throw off is the idea you can take the sets and just mash them. So here you get BB-8 fighter, BB fighters. So you get that, and you get Darth Jar Jar wearing the lower half of Spider Maul, and meanwhile Spider Maul is doing Maul himself is doing a whole theme around living in Snow City, which is to the Duel of the Fates. So you get those little throwaways. I did also, and I gotta mention it. I laughed at how much because this is obviously Lego. You gotta mix in the product placement, so you get
Oh, the Death
the
Star.
the wedge, the
The
wedge.
Death
You
Star
get that?
wedge, that was
Yeah.
hilarious. That was the other one that I started laughing out loud
Mhm.
at because I was like, "Oh man, this is totally, I actually what I wanted them I wish they would have when they blew up the Death Star, I wish somebody would have said, "Man, that was $1,000 down the drain," or something.
Exactly.
I wish they would have thrown something like that out. But yeah, that was when they showed the wedge. I did laugh at that. That was good.
And what was the other thing? And I love the fact that they made one of the big heroes the big Chewbacca set, which a lot of people are like, because of the way it looks kind of funny, and I don't think it got the reception that look. I mean, it's interesting. The Grogu sets are great. The droid sets, whether it's 3PO, K2SO, R2, or um, Chopper, people like. But the Chewbacca one, that face just scary, but yet they made him into kind of a heroic figure. So overall, I enjoyed it. It's not serious, it's disposable if you want to consider it that way. But I think more than anything, it feels like they found more their footing with this one. They're more comfortable relying on the characters and knowing kind of where their story's going to go. And again, you're talking 4 episodes of no more than 25, 27 minutes. So it's not even like a whole 2 hours that you got to devote to it in order to enjoy it. And it does its job really well and doesn't overstay its welcome.
Yeah, but again, like I said though, I know I said it's a hot take, but I mean, I in the about 2 hours that they put out, I felt that they hit beats better than Rise of Skywalker did, and I mean, I'm not hating on Rise of Skywalker, but it's like, I mean, come on, JJ. I mean, the Lego people, I think, you know, constructed a better story, you know, and I get he had some issues and behind the eight ball and stuff like that. Um, but overall, though, the thing that I was most happy about is that Lego again threw aside that the gags took a back seat to telling a meaningful story. It was still fun, it's Lego. You're getting what you're getting. Um, but I was just honestly surprised by the quality of story that we got. Um, yeah, I got a little heavy-handed when, well, first of all the Sith. I love the fact that you've got one of the cutest little character from the Young Jedi Adventures, the one that everybody falls in love with. He's like an evil Sith thing. And by the way, is there a Sith Jawa?
Maybe. I'm trying to remember there was one in the group. I didn't see him this time
But
out, but
that was the one thing that kind of, I mean, again, it's Lego, but it was like, you know, they were like, are deciding whether or not they should be good or not. It's like, again, I wish they would have thrown in a line like, because good is dumb. I wish they would have done something like that. But um, I like that Star Wars has this outlet to make fun of itself, to play a little bit, and that everybody knows that the rules are different in the Lego. And so because we take ourselves so seriously that like South Park said, we get to smelling our own farts. It's like, it's nice to have a place where you can go and have that bit of fun, but now it's nice to know that we can actually tell a story that I care about, and it's not just about eating candy for 30 minutes. It's I was quite interested on where this is going to go. So anyway,
Talked about visions sort of in that similar context, which is that it's sort of a trial balloon area. You can just try a bunch of different wacky things, um, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and you move on to the next story. And this is a similar sort of thing going on here, where um, maybe maybe the story group does want to explore this dyad concept more. Um,
they expanded it
they
because we
expanded
get
it here, and it worked, and it was good, and there maybe people come away from this thinking, hey, yeah, this is working pretty well. We should go further into this. And again, like similar, any number of ideas that are present in this story you could take and run with.
By the way, what do you think
Uh,
of C-3PO as a pirate?
Did you see R2 had an eye patch over his visor?
And a crutch. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that was hilarious. I was gonna say, this is, I mean, the idea of a force myriad, not a dyad, a myriad, is interesting, and it's gonna be funny in a decade from now when it's on in all the major movies, and we're gonna go, this was first introduced in a dang Lego Disney Plus show.
Well, I
We're gonna be
mean,
laughing about that.
we've talked about it because everybody talks about, well, so and so's not force sensitive. It's like even Dave Filoni has said, it said in the very first Star Wars movie that the force is in all living things. And that's what Dev was saying. Is like, hey, yeah, you might not be force users, but the force is in you. So
Mhm.
I just need you to, you know, to try to, dig into that a little bit. And so, boy, yeah, talk about that would tick off a lot of people real quick if they did a,
By the
but
way, remind me, you might know this, Aaron, more than I. Jackson, where was he appear? Where did he first
comic books,
appear?
it was
Okay,
okay. So, Marvel released the comic books of,
in the 80s,
of,
right?
well, no, of the, it was in the 70s of A New Hope.
Mhm.
And so then they had more issues after that, and he was a character in there in like one of the. Um, by the way, for those of you listening, Jackson is it looks like
The rabbit.
a rabbit in a X-wing uh, pilot outfit. Um, and I loved that line. He said, "Yeah, you don't know who I am because I'm a real deep cut," and it was a deep cut. Because yeah, he was just in like a Marvel comic book from the 70s. Um, so
That's what I was trying to remember because I knew I'd seen him somewhere, and I even think I've seen him in some fan-made art pieces or whatever. But it's the kind of thing where you go like, it sticks in the back of your head because it's sort of, wait a minute. But at the same time, it's not obvious. I do appreciate the fact that they do dig into the lesser known, again, fringe corners of the Star Wars universe and go, okay, yeah, we're gonna play with this. We're gonna bring this
because
toy out from the back
and
and enjoy this.
and because we don't have to dwell on this a whole long time. It was, I mean, it's not like we just all watched Citizen Kane. But I
Mhm.
will say to the people, if you found yourself watching the first Rebuild the Galaxy and kind of leaving going, eh, watch this one because I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Because I left the first one kind of going, all right. Dave definitely did because, like I said, you thought I asked Dave to like mow my lawn and shovel my walk when I said, "Hey, let's do the Star Wars Lego thing." Um, but even you got a little bit out of it. It was probably better than you expected. So yeah, I mean, give it a shot. Like you said, it's not like you're devoting a lot of your time and effort to it, and you'll be pleasantly surprised. So
I do think this interesting though, the what Fredo said about the myriad thing and how like we'll be able to trace that back to here. Um, you might be able to trace it back to Rise of Skywalker if you really think about how that last scene went
with
with
all the
Rey.
all the Jedi, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
Which, by the way, on a tangent, that scene had I just saw somebody talking about it. They're like, a lot of people are just losing sleep at night because um, really the only two or only three that we've known that have found their way of, well, I guess there's only a handful: Obi-Wan, Yoda. I suppose we can put Qui-Gon in there because we saw him at the end of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Qui-Gon, um, Anakin, and Luke and Leia, who have found their consciousness in the Force after death. It's the only ones we have video proof of. And at the end of Rise, and you have all these Jedi who are talking to Rey through the Force, and people are losing their damn minds over that fact because they didn't know how to. They didn't know how to. They didn't know how. It's like, yeah. Oh, come on. Give it a rest, please. You know, there's a lot of things that are going to happen to us when we die that we weren't expecting. So,
Again, now go back to the line Ryan Johnson said. The Force is the way to, you got any questions, the Force can answer and provide. So why are you questioning this? But then he pulls out the book from the back, goes, it's in the booklet.
but again, Visions, Lego, it's nice to have. I'm glad that Star Wars has a couple of arenas where creators can create without, like I said, the
pressure.
the internet coming after them full throttle because you're destroying canon. It's just a little sandbox and playing around. I'm glad we have that. So anyway,
Here.
Yep.
well, all right. Well, we talked about a lot tonight. So and it's I was gonna say it's almost my bedtime, but I'm taking tomorrow off from work, so I might stay up an extra hour tonight. You never know. Yeah, partay.
Fancy.
But anyway, well, let us know how you felt about the Lego Lego show on Disney Plus, and if you think that Bob Iger needs to be sent out to pasture. And until then, say who dat,
Who dat?
Yeah.
and everybody have a wonderful week.
McConkey.